Yes, good morning, students. Today we will discuss about the data flow, radio resource management, and mobility management. So this is the module 5. Okay. Uh, so with respect to data flow, I think in brief I discussed what are the different layers in LTE, right? That is communication protocols. So let me just say once again. So hope you are able to see this na LTE radio protocol stacks. So as I said, it is divided into two planes. One is the user plane and another one is the control plane, right? So I told in brief about what RRC is, then PDCP, RLC, MAC, and physical layer, right? So with respect to number of layers, to say here, we say it is three layers: L1, L2, and L3. So L1 is the physical layer. L2 will have this MAC, RLC, and PDCP. Okay. So the functionality of these three layers will come into layer 2. Then layer 3 will be the RRC. Okay, the interface between RRC and PDCP, we say it is a radio bearers. Then from RLC to MAC, we say logical channels. And we say from MAC to physical layer, transport channels, right? So you know what are the logical channels, what are the transport channels, right? We have discussed in detail about the functionality of each and every channel. Okay. So let me start with PDCP. So in this module, we start with that. What is that PDCP? Okay. So PDCP is what? Packet Data Convergence Protocol it is, right? So basically, this PDCP entity, okay, is associated either with the control plane or with the user plane. So depending on which radio bearer it is carrying data. Okay. Means it is applicable to both the planes, control plane and the user plane. So that depends on which radio bearer is carrying the data. Okay, so each radio bearer is associated with one PDCP entity only. Okay, so each PDCP entity is associated with one or two RLC entities. So with respect to the previous slide, right? So PDCP to RLC, right? So with respect to that, what I wanted to say here is each PDCP entity is associated with one or two RLC entities depending on the radio bearer characteristics, means whether it is unidirectional or bidirectional, and as well as the RLC mode. Okay, is that fine? Okay, then PDCP is used only for radio bearers mapped on the downlink control channel and downlink traffic channel types of logical channels. Okay, so this PDCP is used only on these two logical channels. Okay, so it is just an overview of PDCP. Okay, then just let me say about uh, the PDCP functions for user plane and as well as the control plane. Hope is it visible? So with respect to user plane, what is written here? PDCP SAP, right? So these are all the processes happening with that with respect to PDCP. So first sequence numbering, header compression, ciphering, then it will be adding the PDCP header. Okay, this is with respect to user plane, and it is similar sorry, with respect to control plane also. Okay, so sequence numbering, the difference only is here we add the integrity protection with respect to the control plane. Okay, rest of the things are same. Fine. Ciphering and adding PDCP header. So let us see what is this further the functionality of each one. Yeah, with respect to the PDCP layer operation, right, for the packets associated with the PDCP SDU. So what is given here? This is at the transmitting side and this is at the receiving side. Okay. So first task is from the transmitting side. First task is what? Sequence numbering. Okay. For each packet, the numbering is done. Then, as I said, it is of two planes, right? User plane and the header plane, control plane. So in user plane, the header compression process will be happening. In the control plane, the integrity production is done. Okay, integrity production. Then both the packets will be undergoing with the process of ciphering. Then the PDCP header will be added to the data field. Then it goes to RLC. Okay. Then at the receiving end, what happens? It is a reverse process, right? It will receive that packet with the PDCP header and data field, right? So it will do the deciphering, so reverse process. Then it will be splitting into two planes. There is control plane and user plane. In control plane, there will be integrity protection, and in user plane, there will be a header compression. Then it will be reordering the sequences. So this is what we say in the receiving side. Okay, so let me say about the user plane. Means whatever I said now, header compression, right, ciphering, and all. Yeah. So as far as the user plane is concerned, so we use a robust header compression protocol to do the header compression and decompression of the IP data flow. Okay. So the ciphering and the deciphering of the user plane data is done for in-sequence delivery and reordering of upper layer PDUs at the handover. Okay, at the handover, it does in-sequence delivery and reordering of the upper layer PDUs. Then buffering and forwarding of upper layer PDUs from the serving eNode B to the target eNode B is done during the handover. And there will be a timer-based discarding of SDUs in the uplink. Okay. Yeah, this is with respect to control plane. So I was telling here about the integrity, right? So after ciphering and deciphering of the control plane data, so integrity protection and as well as the integrity verification of the control plane data is done. Okay, then there will be a transfer of control plane data. Okay, so let us see with respect to these two things. One is PDCP, PDU, right? That is a packet data convergence protocol. PDUs can be divided into two categories. Okay, one is the PDCP data PDU. Okay, so it is used in both the control and user plane to transport higher layer packets. Okay, and it is used to convey either user plane data containing the compressed or uncompressed IP packet or the control plane data containing one RRC message and the message authentication code for integrity that we say MAC-I field for integrity protection. Okay. Yeah, second one is PDCP control PDU. Okay, first one I said PDCP data PDU. Second one is PDCP control PDU. So this is used only within the user plane to convey a PDCP status reporting during the handover and feedback information for header compression. This PDCP control PDU does not carry any higher layer SDU, but rather is used for peer-to-peer signaling between the PDCP entities at the two ends. So which is shown with the diagram. So this is the PDCP data PDU format for the user plane and the control plane. So this is with respect to the user plane, PDCP data PDU. So it has this field DBAR-C, then PDCP sequence number, then cipher data. Okay, with respect to the control plane PDCP data PDU, so it is PDCP sequence number, cipher data, and MAC-I. Okay, this is for integrity, right? So with respect to control plane. So just we are saying what is the length of each field in this. Okay, so here that PDCP PDU type. Okay, so user plane PDCP data PDU. So with a long sequence number, the sequence length will be of 12 bits. Okay, so and it is applicable for RLC mode. I hope you are able to recall what is AM and UM. So there's actually three modes are there. In that it is used for two modes, right? AM and UM. Then user plane PDCP data PDU. This is for short sequence length, so which is of 7 bits. It is only for UM. And for control plane PDCP data PDU, the sequence length is of 5 bits, and it is for these two modes. And PDCP control PDU for this robust header control, no feedback. So the sequence length is not applicable, and it is applicable for both the modes, AM and RM. Okay, this is PDCP control PDU for PDCP status report. Also, the sequence length is not applicable, and it is applicable for RLC mode of AM. Okay, hope you are able to recall this. What is AM, UM, RM, and all? Any one of you, is it possible to say what is AM? So intentionally I kept here in short form. So don't you think that about these layers I told at the earlier classes before I start the logical channels, right? I spent I think around 1 hour about understanding about the functionality of each of these layers, what RLC will do, PDCP, RLC, MAC, and physical layer, right? So if you're able to recall, it is good. Otherwise, you can go back and have a look. Yeah. Yes, I was telling about the formats, right? So three different types of PDCP data PDUs, which are distinguished by length of the sequence number, right? I think you will be able to see that here. One is 12 bit, another is 7 bit, another is 5 bits. Okay, they are differentiated or distinguished by the length of the sequence number. So this PDCP sequence number is used to provide robustness against packet loss, and as well as to guarantee sequential delivery at the receiver. So that is the purpose of giving a sequence number. So even you all might have understood how postal system or courier system works. No, they give some numbering, right? So they will find the number. They will not look for address or name in that way. So this is a PDCP data PDU with the long SN is used for the unacknowledged mode, that is UM, and another one is what? Acknowledged mode, that is AM. And this PDCP data PDU with the shorts SN is used for the transparent mode. I think I don't know what I've written here. Transparent mode. Okay, short sequence. Yeah, long sequence is used for both AM and UM, right? Short sequence is used for transparent mode. Yeah, the SN field, that is the sequence length field, and the cipher data. Okay, the PDCP data PDU for the user plane contains what that D bar C field, right? So that is used to distinguish between data and control PDUs. I think with respect to this the D bar C. Okay, with respect to PDCP data PDU, the first field is D bar C. So this is used to indicate whether it is data or control plane. Okay, whether it is a data or control PDU. Okay, that is required since PDCP data PDU can carry both user plane and as well as the control plane data. That is why that field is there. So the PDCP data PDU for the control plane consists of what? I said MAC-I, right? Field which is of 32-bit for integrity protection. So this is all about the format of this PDCP data PDU and the user plane and the control plane, right? Yeah. Then let's see what about this header compression. So header compression is a what? Yeah, after sequence numbering, then with respect to PDCP user plane, the next step is the header compression, right? So let us try to understand what it is. Yes, the header compression protocol in LTE is based on what I said, a robust header compression framework defined by the Internet Engineering Task Force. Okay, anyhow, we are not going to discuss about what is that robust header compression framework. We're just saying what type of compression uh, header compression protocol is used. That's all. So these PDCP entities are configured by upper layers to use the header compression, which is only performed on user plane data. Okay, but in control plane data, the integrity is checked. Okay, so the requirement for header compression comes from the fact that all the services in LTE are IP based, okay, and are based on the framework of IP and other related IETF protocols. So to continue with that, so these protocols bring the significant amount of header overhead at the network layer and transport layer. So hope you are aware what is network layer, then transport layer. We say two things. One is TCP and UDP, right? In network layer, we say there is IP and application layer. Okay, so which contains redundant and repetitive information and unnecessarily consumes the precious radio resources. So therefore, an efficient header compression scheme is required, especially for voice over internet protocol services, where the IP related repetitive information in the header field is large relative to the actual speech packets. Okay, that is why we do the header compression here. Okay, so there are multiple header compression algorithms. We call them as profiles defined for the robust header compression framework. So each profile is specific to the particular network layer, transport layer, or upper layer protocol combination. Okay, already I told what are the upper layers. Okay, it may be TCP IP or RTP is application layer, UDP for IP. Hope you are aware when do we use TCP, when do we use UDP? Is it possible to say any one of you quickly? When we prefer TCP, when we prefer UDP? Yes, my dear students. Just one question in between. When do we prefer TCP and when do we prefer UDP? Hope you are aware what is UDP? That is user datagram protocol, right? Yes. Any one of you can say? Is it possible to say? UDP. Nobody knows.
Sir, in TCP, like whenever the data is received, an acknowledgement is sent.
UDP?
So UDP, it's absent, sir. There's no acknowledgement sent.
Okay, very good. So for whatever the communication, if you don't require acknowledgement, then you prefer UDP, right? So wherever you need an acknowledgement, then you go for TCP, isn't it? Yes or no? ಎಸ್ ಅನ್ನಲ್ಲ ನೋನು ಅನ್ನಲ್ಲ.
Yes, sir.
ನೀನು ಒಬ್ಬನೇ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದೆ, ಬೇರೆಯವ್ರು ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತಿದಾರ? ಇಂಟರ್ನ್ಶಿಪ್ಗೆ ಪ್ರಿಪೇರ್ ಆಗ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅನ್ಸುತ್ತೆ. ವಾಟ್ ಕುಸುಮಾಕರ್ ನಿಮ್ದೆಲ್ಲ ಆಯ್ತಲ್ವೇನಾ? ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಬಿ ಆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಮ್ಯಾನ್. Actually, basic things you should be able to say. See, once you know basic things, I think it is easy to pick up how the different systems have been built. Don't you think if you have a good knowledge of CCN, you can correlate and understand how the protocols have been built in LTE? So I'm talking about protocols. This module 5 is all about that only. Fine. So integrity and ciphering. So the security related functions in PDCP includes the integrity protection and ciphering, and second one is the PDCP PDU counter. Okay, so we use the word count is maintained and used as an input to the security algorithm. Let me say that the format. So the format of count is shown here. So the first field is HFN. HFN means hyperframe number, and second field is PDCP sequence number. So total length is 32 bits. Okay. Fine. So this is about the what format of the count. What is that count? I told here the PDCP PDU counter have the count. Okay, that is used to input the security algorithm. Right? What is that format? It has hyperframe number and as well as the PDCP sequence number. So the total length will be of 32 bits. Okay. Then the integrity and ciphering. So far I was talking about integrity. So which is all related to the control plane, right? So the sequence number is used for reordering and duplicate detection of RLC packets at the receive end. Okay, hope you understood the purpose of sequencing or sequence numbering, right? It is used for what? Reordering and duplicate detection of RLC packets at the receive end. So the integrity protection function includes both the integrity protection and integrity verification, and is performed only for the control plane data. Okay, so the data unit that is integrity protected is the PDU header and the data part of the PDU before ciphering. Okay, so integrity protection is provided by the field MAC-I of 32-bit length. So at the transmission, the value of this MAC-I field is calculated based on the keys provided by the RRC. Okay, so the radio bearer identifier, the count value, and the direction of the transmission accounts for that. So the receiver will be computing the expected message authentication code on the received message using the same parameters and algorithms used by the sender. So if this does not match the MAC-I field, then the PDCP PDU does not pass the integrity check. Okay, and the PDCP PDU will be discarded. So it will look for what? It will look for these things. The transmission, at a transmission, what is that? The value of the MAC-I field. I said what is the length of that, right? That is calculated based on what? The keys provided by RRC, the radio bearer identifier, the count value, and the direction of the transmission. So based on that, the receiver will be computing the expected message authentication code on the received message using the same parameters and algorithms used by the sender. So if that matches, then it will pass. If that is not matching, then it will be rejecting. Okay, so the ciphering function includes both ciphering and as well as deciphering. So that is about the integrity, what I talked about. So the ciphering is performed on both control plane data and as well as the user plane data. Okay, so for the control plane, the data unit that is ciphered is the data part of the PDCP PDU and the MAC-I field. Okay, so for the user plane, so two things are there. First one I'm telling about the control plane. Second one is the user plane. So the data unit that is ciphered is the data part of the PDCP PDU. Okay, of course I have not highlighted here. So if I highlight, I think then the clarity will be there. So control plane, the data unit that is ciphered is the data part of the PDCP PDU and the MAC-I. And for the user plane, the data unit that is ciphered is the data part of the PDCP PDU. So neither integrity nor ciphering is applicable to PDCP control PDUs. Okay, so the ciphering function is activated by upper layers, which also configures the ciphering algorithm and the ciphering key to be used. Okay, so this ciphering is done by an XOR operation of the data unit with the ciphering stream. The ciphering stream is generated by the ciphering algorithm. So based on these parameters, based on the ciphering keys, radio bearer identity, the value of the count, the direction of the transmission, and the length of the key stream. So these things, these 5 things are used to generate the ciphering stream. Okay. Yeah. So next one is the MAC RLC overview. So I told about the PDCP. So this is all about PDCP, whatever I discussed so far. Sequencing, ciphering, deciphering, and integrity. So that is what is done with respect to PDCP, right? Yeah. Okay. So this diagram is important. So you will be able to get the clarity, and this is the first thing. Okay. So okay, next is a MAC or RLC. This RLC means what? Any one of you can say the expansion of RLC? Yes, RLC layer. What, Madhura? I could not hear it. Some plane is going.
Radio link control layer, sir.
Okay, ma. Thank you. So it is RLC is a radio link control layer, right? So what RLC layer performs? It performs segmentation and concatenation on PDCP PDU, right? Based on the size indicated by the MAC layer. Okay. So RLC layer, I said it performs segmentation. I hope you understand what you mean by segmentation, right? The larger block is divided into smaller blocks, right? That one only we are calling it as a segmentation. Then concatenation means, so those segmented blocks are added, right? Means concatenated to get a single block. So that operation is performed by RLC layer. Okay, so segmentation and the concatenation on PDCP PDUs based on the size indicated by the MAC layer is performed by RLC layer. So it reorders the RLC PDUs once they are received out of order, possibly due to this hybrid ARQ process in the MAC layer. I will be discussing about this hybrid ARQ process later on. Okay, I think. Then it supports an ARQ mechanism, so which resides on top of the MAC layer. So this hybrid ARQ and is used only when all the hybrid ARQ transmissions are exhausted. Okay, and this RLC PDU has not yet been received without errors. So it is about the support for an ARQ mechanism. Okay, so at the transmitter and the receiver, there will be one RLC entity per radio bearer. Then let us try to understand the function of MAC layers. So MAC layer performs multiplexing and demultiplexing of the various logical channels onto the transport channels. So do you think that the functionality of MAC layer differs from one system to another system, or is it same? Whatever you have studied, even in CCN, there also you're talking about the same thing, right? Multiplexing, demultiplexing only, right? So here also the same things. Okay, so yeah, as I said, MAC layer performs multiplexing and demultiplexing of the various logical channels under the transport channels. So at E node B, what happens? Multiplexing and prioritizing various user equipments that are being served by the E node B, as well as multiplexing and prioritizing the various radio bearers within the given user equipment. Okay, so this is what is happening at the E node B. And at the user equipment, the MAC layer only performs the task of multiplexing and prioritizing the various radio bearers associated with the user equipment. So at E node B, two things it does. Right? One is multiplexing and prioritizing the various user equipments that are being served by the E node B, as well as the multiplexing and prioritizing the various radio bearers within the given user equipment. But at the user equipment, the MAC layer performs the task of what? Multiplexing and prioritizing the various radio bearers associated with the user equipment. So this MAC layer provides services to the RLC layer through logical channels, right? So it accesses the data transfer services provided by the physical layer through the transport channels. So these are the known facts only. Already we have discussed about that. Yeah. So we are just discussing in detail about this MAC layer. Yes, logical channels. Hope you understand this. And then scheduling and priority handling is done, right? So multiplexing, it is shown with respect to user equipment 1, user equipment 2, and so on. Then there will be hybrid ARQ processing is done, okay, for every multiplexing of the user equipment. And okay, here some specific logical channels are shown, that is what BCCH and PCCH, that is broadcast control channel and phasing control channel. Let us see about this, about the data transfer modes. So the functions of the RLC layer are performed by the RLC entities, right? So hope, is it possible to say what is the function of RLC layer? Function of RLC layer. Yes, any one of you, quickly. Function of RLC layer. Yes, any one of you I'm asking. RLC layer, just now 2 minutes back I said.
Segmentation.
Very good. Segmentation and concatenation, right? At least one or two keyword need to be remembered. Segmentation and concatenation. That is the keyword. By taking that, you should be able to explain how does it do the segmentation, right? So with respect to MAC, you should be able to say it performs multiplexing and demultiplexing. Okay, with respect to PDCP, you should be able to say it performs what? Header compression, right? Other things. Okay, so each RLC entity can be operated in 3 modes. Even these 3 modes also I have explained, right? Transparent mode, unacknowledged mode, and as well as acknowledged mode. Okay, so just as a revision, let us see once again what is a transparent mode. Is the one of the simplest mode of data transfer, right? So the RLC entity does not add any RLC header to the PDU, and no data segmentation or concatenation is performed here. So this mode is suitable for services that do not need retransmission or are not sensitive to delivery data. Okay. And only RRC messages such as broadcast system information messages and paging messages will be using the transparent mode. The transparent mode is not used for user plane data transmission. Okay, the transparent mode is used only for control plane data transmission. So the RLC data PDU delivered by transparent mode RLC entity is known as the transparent mode data PDU, that is TMD PDU. Okay. Okay, the second mode is the unacknowledged mode. So the mode provides in-sequence delivery of data that may be received out of sequence due to hybrid ARQ process in the MAC, right? But no retransmission of the last PDU is required in this case. So this mode can be used by delay sensitive and error tolerant real-time applications. Okay, so delay sensitive means like VoIP, that is voice over internet protocol application. So the DTCH, that is a downlink transport channel, that is the logical channel, right, can be operated in the unacknowledged mode. RLC data PDU delivered by an unacknowledged mode RLC entity is called the data PDU. Okay, so TMD and UMD. RLC data PDU delivered by an RLC entity is known as what? data PDU. Similarly, in the previous case, what I said, RLC data PDU delivered by RLC entity is known as TMD PDU. So similarly, so at the transmit end, this unacknowledged mode RLC entity segments and concatenates the RLC SDUs according to the total size of the RLC PDUs indicated by the MAC layer. So relevant RLC headers are also included in the UMD PDU. The receiving RLC entity performs duplicate deduction, reordering, and reassembly of UMD PDUs. So PDU means it is a packet data unit. Okay. Yes, this is with RLC unacknowledged mode operation with diagrammatic representation. So what happens at the transmitting end and the receiving side, right? So there will be a transmission buffer. So segmentation and concatenation is done. Then UMD header and data field. So that will be transmitted over the DCCH or DTCH. So downlink control channel or downlink traffic channel, right? So this is at the receiving end. So data will be received from DCCH or DTCH. So UMD header, data field. So hybrid ARQ reordering. So this is for the receiving buffer. Then it does the reassembly. Okay. So this is how we can represent the functionality with respect to RLC operation, that is unacknowledged mode operation. So next one is the acknowledged mode. So in short, we say it is AM mode, and it is the most complex one. Okay, so it requires retransmission of missing PDUs in addition to the mode functionalities. So just now I said what are the mode functionalities, right? So with respect to mode functionalities, what I can say, it does a duplicate deduction, reordering, reassembly of the UMD PDUs. This is at the receiving end, right? So with that, the mode functionalities are what? It is mainly used by error sensitive and delay tolerant applications. So an AM RLC entity can be configured to deliver or receive RLC PDUs through DCCH and DTCH, right? Then an AM RLC entity delivers and receives the AM data PDU and the status PDU indicating the acknowledgement or negative acknowledgement information of the RLC PDUs. So when this AM RLC entity needs to retransmit a portion of an EMD PDU which results from the ARQ process and segmentation. Okay, the transmitted PDU is known as the AMD PDU segment. So operation of the AM RLC entity is similar to that of UM RLC entity, except that it supports retransmission of RLC PDU data PDUs. Okay, so once you understand UM RLC entity functionality, even AM RLC entity functionality is also similar, except what I said, it supports retransmission of RLC data PDUs. Okay, at the receiving end, the receiving AM RLC entity can send the status PDU to inform the transmitting RLC entity about the AMD PDUs that are received successfully and that are detected to be lost. Okay, so that will be indicated by this. Yeah, with diagrammatic representation, this is how we say about RLC AM mode operation. So transmitting side, transmission buffer, right? So segmentation, concatenation, so that there will be retransmission buffer, right? So AMD header and data field channel, right? The receiving end, this one. So the receiving buffer will be indicating to control information to the transmission buffer if there is any loss. Okay. So to get a better visualization of whatever the operations have told in the form of sentence, that has been visualized in the form of diagram. So I think with this diagram, we'll be able to reproduce all these functionalities, what I said. Okay. Yeah. Then let us try to understand the purpose of MAC and RLC layers. So the main services and functions of the RLC sublayer are what? Transferring, receiving PDUs from upper layer, that is from RRC for common control channel, logical channel, or from PDCP for other cases. Okay. So error correction through ARQ only when the RLC is operated in the AM mode. During that time, the error correction will be done through ARQ. Then concatenation, segmentation, and reassembly of the RLC SDUs is done with this mode, only for UM and AM data transfer mode. And the resegmentation of RLC data PDUs is done only for the AM data transfer mode. So here, each of these functions are told with respect to mode. Okay, so when what operation is done, right? So I said error correction through ARQ is done only when the RLC is operated in the AM mode, that is acknowledged mode. And concatenation, segmentation, and reassembly of RLC SDUs are done only for UM and AM data transfer modes, right? Resegmentation of RLC data PDUs is done only for the AM data transfer mode. Yeah. Yes, then duplicate detection. So these are the 1, 2, 3 I said functions, right? Then duplicate detection is only for UM and AM data transfer modes. Then in sequence delivery of upper layer PDUs is done for only UM and AM data transfer. Then protocol error detection and recovery. Okay, so RLC SDU discard, this is for only UM and AM data transfer. Then RLC re-establishment. So these are the different functions performed by the RLC sublayer. Okay, so the main services and functions of the RLC sublayer are this. So how many are there? Transferring, receiving PDUs from upper layers. 1, 2, 3, 4 here. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's almost 9 functionalities, right? Yeah. So LTE defines 2 MAC entities. Okay, one in the user equipment and one in the eNode B. The exact functions performed by the entities are different in the user equipment from those performed in the eNode B. The main services and functions of the MAC sublayer are, first one is what mapping between logical channels and the transport channels. Then second thing is multiplexing, demultiplexing of MAC SDUs belonging to one or different logical channels into or from the same transport block. Third function is scheduling for both downlink and uplink transmission. Next one is error correction through hybrid ARQ, which has the tight interaction with ARQ in the RLC layer. Then the next function is priority handling between logical channels of one user equipment or between the user equipments by means of dynamic scheduling. Then the next functionality is the transport format selection. Okay, the selection of the modulation and coding scheme for link adaptation is done by this. Then padding, if a MAC PDU is not fully filled with the data. So padding is also done by this. So these are all the functions of the MAC sublayer. Okay. I repeat once again, mapping between logical channels and transport channels, multiplexing, demultiplexing of MAC SDUs belonging to one or different logical channels into the same transport block. Next is scheduling for both downlink and uplink transmission. Then error correction through hybrid ARQ, priority handling between logical channels of one user equipment or between user equipments by means of dynamic scheduling. Then transport format selection. So the selection of the modulation and coding scheme for the link adaptation. Then padding if the MAC PDU is not fully filled with the data. So these are all the different services and functions done by the MAC sublayer. Then I think we'll discuss about this PDU headers and formats, I think, in the next class. Okay.